We had a few people in our group asking about the different methods of using your patterns. Do you trace them? Do you just cut them out and use the pieces? This is a pocket for the Opal Sydney. I'm going to use it as an example today just because it's small. So I've taped my pattern together. I've cut this piece out. You could use this just as it is, place it on your fabric fold, pin it, and cut around it. Or you could lay it on your fabric, put a weight down, and cut around it. I don't like either of those methods. I don't like pinning because I feel like it takes a long time. Okay, so I said that. But it's true. Anyway, so in a quilting tutorial, I had found where people use freezer paper. This is just an off-brand freezer paper. I know Reynolds makes a freezer paper. This is the cheapo one, and it works just fine. So I also realized that in the United States, we can get this fairly cheap, fairly easily. I know other countries, I know Australia in particular, that you can't find freezer paper. So I don't have an alternative for that, and I apologize. But if you're in the United States and you can get freezer paper, you might want to give this a go. So this is the freezer paper. It just says plastic coated freezer paper. That's what I'm going to be using. So our tools that we need are scissors, and I have two pair. I've got my paper scissors and my fabric scissors, a marker, your pattern piece, and actually your pattern piece, I have this one cut out. A lot of times I don't even cut them out. Like when I tape my pages together, I just leave it in a big sheet and I lay my freezer paper over the top and trace all the patterns. So, okay, I forgot to mention earlier, you're going to need an iron. We'll talk about that in a minute. So here's my pattern. Here's my freezer paper. Since I have this one cut out, I can simply just trace around it. If it were on my big sheet and I didn't have them cut out, you can lay over the top. And I don't know if you can see on the camera or not, but you can still see through it clearly enough to trace around it and mark your notches or anything, any other markings that you need to mark. Okay, so I'm going to trace this one real quick. And then this one doesn't really have any markings on it, but I am going to mark the fold. This is the fold edge. And then I'm going to write the name and information about it so I know if it gets separated from its other pieces, I know where it belongs. Okay, so now we have our piece traced. I am going to make sure my iron is on. I'm going to cut it out real quick, and then I'm going to show you how to use this. All right, so we have our pattern piece cut out. We've got our fabric. Now this one goes on a fold, so I have my fabric folded. Actually, I'm going to give it a little press just to get a crease there for my fold. There we go. Now, the miracle, oh, I got a string. Ah! The miracle's about to happen. We are going to lay this where we want it on our fabric, right there. Take our hot iron. Now, I've got mine iron. I've got mine iron set to cotton because that's what I'm working with, and I don't have any steam, so no steam, just a dry iron, and I'm just going to press over this. Or iron. I think pressing is just when you stay still. Maybe ironing is when you're moving. Not really sure. Anyway, I'm going to do this. Ironing. Now, you can't really tell probably from the video, but this paper is now stuck down to my fabric. Let me see if I can show you. See? You see how it's like stuck on there? Okay. Now, once I'm at this point, I'm going to take my fabric scissors and just cut it out. And there we have it. We have our pattern piece cut out. Now, if I can get a hold, I'm going to use this edge. Sometimes it sticks really, really good, but then you simply peel it off. And there's your pocket, or whatever piece it is that you're cutting out. These pieces now, they do not leave any kind of sticky residue or any gunk on your fabric, so that's nice. To me, it makes it easier to cut the pieces out and get them more accurate. But the best part about it is when I do it this way, I have these pieces and they are reusable. I'm not going to line it up, but they are reusable. And some of these I have reused up to 15 times. If you have a fuzzy fabric, you may get a little bit of fuzz on the back side, but I just keep going. And honestly, I don't know how many times you can reuse them because I've never reached that point yet. But I'm stuck on the scissors. But you can just keep right on using them the next time you want, and you can see it sticks just as good. This also, for me, allows me to keep my main pattern intact and trace out the size that I need for my body without having to cut my whole pattern apart. I only cut apart my freezer paper pieces. That way, should my daughter want a pair of pants, which, you know, I doubt she would. She doesn't really, she has her own style. That's not mom's style. But anyway, if I ever, or, you know, if I were to possibly lose weight, which that's probably not going to happen. But for whatever reason, if I needed to make a different size, my main pattern is still intact. Another good point about this is if I use my freezer paper and it's the first time that I've made a pattern, and let's say I need to widen the hips a bit or take in somewhere, I can do that on my freezer paper and or recut just one piece off the freezer paper, and still my main pattern stays intact, but yet I have the one cut for me that fits my body. Anyway, I hope all that made sense. I hope this helps. You may want to try it, you may not, if you're comfortable with your pins or weights. So whatever works best for you. I just wanted to share this because this is the method I do. I also forgot to mention, you guys, ignore my little dirty mat here. This little guy's been with me probably 20 years at least. And I love him. He's been a good friend. Anyway, thanks for watching. And like I said, I hope this helps you. Y'all take care.